Hello, everyone, and welcome to this Talking Takeover review for NXT Takeover Vengeance Day here on Valentine's Day. The show literally just went off the air about half an hour ago, and I got a Mountain Dew here with me, and I'm going to try and get through this whole review and talk through. I'm going to talk to you guys about what happened at TakeOver and some other NXT news that came out of the show here and some stuff that's happened in weeks before. Kind of some quick thoughts on all that. But before we get started, I want to remind you guys to leave a thumbs up on the video if you guys enjoy these little reviews. Honestly, these reviews, you might start to notice them getting a little bit shorter and stuff like that. That's just kind of because I've been trying to lay back on them. Honestly, if you look at them, not a lot of people watch them, but I do appreciate the people that do watch them, so I do want to try and keep them around. It's just that, you know, there might be quicker notes and stuff like that, especially for a lot of these matches. I think the only big match that I had a lot of notes for was the main event, which had a lot of stuff happen, especially at the end. But yeah, there was a lot of stuff going on all over the show here tonight, as you'll come to see. But this was TakeOver Vengeance Day, and it was also the finals of the Dusty Tag Team Classics for both the men and the women's. So the show kicked off with the women's tag team finals. It was Team Shotzi Blackheart and Ember Moon versus the team of Dakota Kai and Raquel Gonzalez. This was some really good back and forth. I actually had to go back and rewatch it because when I was originally watching it on my TV, it kept buffering, so it was very annoying to have to sit every 30 seconds, wait for it to stop buffering, and then it immediately starts buffering again. So I had to go back and watch it again on my laptop a little bit ago, kind of zoomed through it, but it was still a really good match. Like I said, there was a lot of back and forth. The main story of this matchup was basically like Dakota Kai got worked over by the baby faces for most of it, and then Raquel would tag in and she would run wild and basically put the other team down, allowing their team to get the advantage. At one point in the matchup, there was a very, very near fall where Ember Moon nearly beat Raquel Gonzalez with the Eclipse off the top rope. And she nearly got the pin, but then Dakota Kai got in the ring and the referee was kind of distracted, so she couldn't get the full 3 count on her, which was very a good way to protect Raquel. Like, if anybody was going to get pinned from the Raquel and Dakota team in this, I thought it would be Dakota, which the ending to this matchup really surprised me too, because the ending was Raquel Gonzalez hitting a powerbomb, I believe on Ember Moon, maybe it was Shotzi, I don't know. There was also another point where Raquel, like, took, I think, Ember Moon and, like, tossed her off the stage, like on the top of the ramp. They had like the raised up ramp, and she tossed her off, which I thought was pretty cool. I didn't have it in my notes, but I just remembered it. But the ending, Raquel hits the powerbomb on Ember Moon, and both Raquel and Dakota cover her for the win, so Dakota kind of tries to make it look like she was important to that pinfall win. But I say this is interesting because with them now winning the Women's Dusty Classic, they now have a tag team title match. It's interesting to me because the tag team champions right now are Nia Jax and Shayna Baszler, who are heels. And Dakota and Raquel are also heels. Now, they say that it's a future tag team title match, meaning it doesn't have to come immediately, which would kind of dictate that Nia Jax and Shayna Baszler are not holding on to those championships for much longer, meaning that whatever feud they get into on Raw or SmackDown over those titles, if it's against babyfaces, which I'm sure it will be, the babyfaces have a really good chance at winning those titles immediately, because that means that we need to have a babyface team versus the heel team on NXT. And if it's going to be any tag team, I'm putting my money on the Riot Squad, because I'm a big fan of the Riot Squad, and I think they're great, and I think they should be holding the tag team titles. They feel like the only legitimate tag team in the women's division on TV right now. Like, who else do you have? You have Shayna Baszler and Nia Jax, who were just two random... They were enemies that teamed together. And then you got Lacey Evans and Peyton Royce, who really aren't even a tag team anymore. And then you got like Billie Kay, who's sort of in the Riot Squad, but kind of isn't. And then who else do you have after that? Lana and Naomi, who have only been a team for like a week. Mandy Rose and Dana Brooke, maybe, but didn't they just lose to Nia and Shayna? I don't know. I don't watch Raw and SmackDown anymore, so I don't really know what all is happening. But it was just interesting to see the heel team come out as the winners here, as they're going to be having the tag team title match. So you would think that Shayna and Nia are going to lose the tag team titles at some point very, very soon, and then we'll have a babyface team go to NXT, defend the women's tag team titles against Raquel and Dakota, which I'm all for. The women's tag team titles should be defended on all brands, especially since NXT is now live and not taped, and I really would love to see the tag team titles come on to NXT, or have the winners, or have the tag team titles defended at WrestleMania, and have the NXT people compete at WrestleMania. That would get some good eyes on the NXT wrestlers, which I'm sure the WWE still wants to do. But anyways, following on from that, we had the NXT North American Championship, Johnny Gargano versus Kushida. Gargano came out dressed up in, what was it? Something gray. Nate Gray, I think it was. It was like an X-Men gear that he teased on Twitter earlier. And the way he come out onto the ramp, and Johnny Gargano goes to do like the no-look high five to Austin Theory, and he looks over and Austin Theory's not there, which I'm pretty sure they just showed that he was there with them in the group, like backstage doing like a group huddle, and then all of a sudden he's not there, implying that Dexter Lumis got to him, which in recent weeks on NXT TV, Dexter Lumis has kind of been helping Kushida with the way, so I would assume that's what happened to Dexter Lumis. But they didn't really bring it up at all in this matchup afterwards, and it didn't really come into play like towards the finish or anything like that, which was great because I loved this matchup. This matchup, I'm trying to put together a giant list of some of the best NXT matches that have been happening in the year of 2021, because I want to do something different for the end of the year, where I usually do my top 10 NXT TakeOver matches. I want to just do a giant list of like all of the best NXT matches from this year. And this is definitely going on that list. This was freaking awesome. There was insane back and forth between both of them. I tensed up a lot at some of the shots that Johnny Gargano's arm took. There was a lot of that in this matchup, and there was a lot of that in the main event. Towards the end of the matchup, one of the big ones was Kushida at the top of the rampway, and Gargano's like on his hands and knees. Kushida freaking sprints down the rampway and like penalty kicks Gargano's arm and like sends him into the ring, and he tries the hoverboard lock, but then Gargano kind of like whiplashes him in the ropes to like get him to break it, and then Gargano hits a slingshot DDT onto the raised platform entranceway. He hits a slingshot DDT on there, and then hits a second one inside the ring, and he ends up retaining the championship. So Gargano retains relatively clean. Like I said, he did use the top rope to kind of break the submission, but it is technically legal, so he did win. Johnny Takeover retains his championship here, and now after this defeat to Kushida, relatively clean, you would think that the next feud would be, well, number one, we're going to get skits of Johnny Gargano trying to find Austin Theory. Like, Austin Theory has been kidnapped by Dexter Lumis. Obviously, there's going to be some storyline where I would guess Gargano has to find Dexter Lumis to find Austin Theory, and like he gets like a ransom note that says like, give me a championship match and you get Austin Theory back. So I would assume that is Gargano's next feud between him and Dexter Lumis over the North American Championship, which I'm all for, but I really do hope that they still find a way to keep Kushida involved, because I think he's really cool, and I've been very happy with the stuff they've been having him do on NXT TV in recent months, ever since his big takeover win against Velveteen Dream. They've been having him be very, very aggressive on NXT TV. Very great, very different from your run-of-the-mill smiling babyface. So I really hope they keep him around in the title scene here. Even if it is as like a background character, I still want to see him involved somehow. Coming up next, we had the men's Dusty Classic Finals. We had MSK versus the Oh, that hurts my throat. The grizzled young veterans. MSK, this is kind of a little bit of news that I want to talk about. MSK were the former Rascals from Impact Wrestling. They came to NXT and became part of the Dusty Classic. I don't know if I'm just stupid, but have they ever mentioned what MSK stands for, like, on NXT TV? Because all I ever hear them be called is MSK. In my head, MSK stands for Men Smoking Kush. Because obviously their whole gimmick in Impact Wrestling was they were stoners. Obviously you can't do that in NXT and WWE. They kind of made references to it roughly with Matt Riddle when he was in NXT, but obviously they can't keep doing that. And I don't know. They just have never told us what MSK stands for. So in my head, that's what it's going to stand for. Anyways, this matchup was great. Even before the match began, Zach Gibson was just amazing on the mic, as always. And yeah, both teams looked really awesome in this matchup. There was a lot of great back and forth stuff. Literally in my notes here, I wrote, "This is too crazy to keep track of. I'm just going to watch the match." Grizzled young veterans towards the end of the matchup looked like they were about to win. MSK countered with a couple of super kicks, and then they hit this blockbuster Spinebuster combination for the win. So MSK win the Dusty Classic and now have a tag team title match against Oney Lorcan and Danny Burch for the tag team titles coming up. That seems like it's going to be a pretty awesome match. And following this matchup, I'm pretty sure, I kind of randomly wrote it here in my notes. Following this matchup, we got a promo recapping Cameron Grimes' new gimmick of him being super rich after investing in the stock market, which was pretty awesome, and I very much loved it. I really do love this new direction of Cameron Grimes' character. I think it's great. I think his return and his promo that he did on NXT this past week was really awesome, and I'm very interested to see where they go with him. I can't see him getting into any title scenes right now, but I do feel like they're going to do some pretty awesome stuff with him. I don't know who his feud would be against. Maybe Bronson Reed? I don't know. I feel like they could do some really cool stuff together. But yeah, this was a really awesome promo. Love Cameron Grimes' new direction. I'm excited to see where they go with it. Alright. So up next, we had the NXT Women's Championship. Io Shirai defends against Toni Storm and Mercedes Martinez, thankfully coming back to NXT after nearly being part of Retribution, but thankfully she came back to NXT. She got herself into the title scene. This was another matchup where I kind of just couldn't take a lot of notes because the action was just happening way too fast, so I just kind of sit back and enjoyed it. Although there kind of was a really big mess up in this matchup, and it wasn't even any of the girls' fault. There was a point during this matchup where all of them are fighting on the outside of the ring by the announce table, and Toni Storm goes to clear off the announce table. She takes the cover off, and she like barely puts her hand on the table. She's like brushing papers and like water bottles off, and then all of a sudden the table collapses, like someone had just gone through it. Like, it was obviously there was supposed to be some sort of a table spot, but for some reason the table was just so barely able to be put together that all it took was Toni Storm's hand to touch it for the table to fall apart. So I'm guessing there was supposed to be something crazy, but we did end up getting something crazy instead. Io dove off of the scaffolding that's around the ring, like by the announce table, which I figured as soon as they added that stuff in around TakeOver War Games, I figured there was going to be some sort of spot where someone does a dive off of the scaffolding. It's just too perfect for that. So I'm really glad that Io got that spot. I expect it to be part of NXT's opening package very, very soon. They love to have those really awesome moments on there, and they do look really awesome, so I hope they add those in. But then back in the ring towards the end of the matchup, Toni Storm gets a near fall on Mercedes after the Tiger Driver for 2 count. Mercedes answers back. She nearly gets a 3 count after a Fisherman Buster on Toni Storm. And then the finish of the matchup sees Toni Storm hitting Mercedes with a flying headbutt. Toni tries to make the pin. Io hits a moonsault onto Toni and Mercedes. Io pins Mercedes Martinez to pick up the win, retains the NXT Women's Championship. This is going to be very interesting to see where Io goes, who is going to be her next challenger. They could redo Io versus Tony, considering Tony wasn't involved in the pinfall. You know, maybe there could be something along that. Maybe they could do Mercedes and Io again in like one-on-one competition. But there could also be another person coming to NXT very, very soon for the women's division. I'll talk about that later on as part of like the other random NXT news. After this, we get the official signing of one Eli Drake to NXT. He signs his contract with NXT. I'll talk a little bit more about Eli Drake and him coming to NXT and his new name now that he's in NXT here in a little bit. But first off, though, before we get to that, we have our main event. Finn Balor defends the NXT Championship against Pete Dunne for the first time ever. And this match was feckin' amazing. I said it while I was watching the match. I said it after the match was over. I will say it again here on the review. This match was feckin' amazing. And it's definitely going to be going on my list of some of the best NXT matches of this year. It was just awesome. It started out with great back and forth commentary. We're talking about how Finn still doesn't have all the feeling in his jaw, which I'm pretty sure is real. Then, like, towards the beginning of the matchup, there was like a cool moment where Pete Dunne hit like this monkey flip on Finn, and their hands were like interlocked. That was pretty cool. And then Dunne starts to target Finn's jaw by like shoving his shoulder into Finn's jaw. They're like up against the ropes, and Dunne is like shoving his shoulder into Finn's jaw super hard, and it looked really brutal. And then he started to target Finn's arm, he started to target his shoulders, he started to target his fingers. That was kind of the big thing for Dunne in this matchup, as it is in a lot of his matches. He really likes to target the arms, the hands, the fingers, and Finn found an opening and started stomping on Dunne's foot, getting him into ankle locks, but Dunne then targets the arms to get out of it. Finn targets the arm again, or Finn targets the leg again. He puts him in an STF, but then Dunne targets the fingers to get out of that. Dunne then tries to do his like corner flip, but his knee gives out, and then Finn tries to hit the reverse 1916. Dunne counters out of that. Finn then tries to hit the Pele kick. Dunne counters out of that. Dunne hits a powerbomb for a 2 count. And then this was another moment in the matchup that really made me wince. Pete Dunne hits the Shayna Baszler arm stomp on Finn's arm, and those spots are just so scary looking because you can never really tell if the person taking it is legitimately in pain. I'm sure they're somewhat legitimately in pain, but if they're fully legitimately in pain or just playing it up a lot. But he hit the arm stomp, he hit a German suplex. Dunne then stomped on both of Finn's hands on the ground. And Balor made an attempt to come back. He targeted the leg again. Finn hit a backstabber on Dunne, and then the reverse 1916, but only for a 2 count. Then he hit the shotgun drop kick, or he tried to go for the shotgun drop kick, and then Pete Dunne reverses the coup de grace into a triangle lock, and Finn tries to get to the ropes once. Dunne rolls back to the middle of the ring. Finn then moves backwards towards the ropes, and as he puts his foot on the bottom rope, Finn looks passed out. So even though he got to the bottom rope and the referee broke the hold, Dunne sees that he is knocked out. So Dunne tries to go for the bitter end. Finn counters into a 1916 attempt. Then Dunne counters that, so Finn counters back into an abdominal stretch on the ground, but then Dunne bends Finn's fingers again to get out. So every time Finn looked like he had a hold or some way of stopping Dunne's momentum, Dunne just immediately went after the fingers and got right back on top of it. And then Finn just desperately starts kicking and stomping on Dunne to try and get the upper hand, but then Dunne gets him caught in the bitter end and nearly pins him for the win. He only gets a 2 count though. Dunne then stomps on Finn's hands 2 more times, tries to hit a powerbomb, but then Finn flips out of it and hits him with a quick DDT. Finn tries to go for the shotgun dropkick. Dunn counters into an enziguri. Finn then hits a Pele kick. Dunn then stumbles backwards and hits a kick to the back of Finn's head. Finn then hits like a reverse 1916 for a 2 count. And then this was the ending. This was towards the ending of the match. Finn gets Pete Dunne up to like his knees. And Finn reaches into Dunn's mouth, which in the middle of a pandemic, you probably don't want to do that. But he grabs out Pete Dunne's like mouth guard and tosses it aside. Finn then hits a dropkick square into the mouth of Pete Dunne, which looks super brutal. So obviously Finn is like, you're going to target my jaw, I'm going to target yours. And with one dropkick to the mouth, Finn put down Pete Dunne long enough for him to hit the coup de grace and then hit the 1916 for the win. Finn Balor retains the NXT Championship. I've been loving Finn's return to NXT ever since he came back. It's been freaking awesome. Like, It pained me so much to see all the stupid crap that he had to put up with on Raw or SmackDown, like how he was just so one-dimensional as this stupid smiling baby face where like the only cool thing that would happen was him putting on body paint for special occasions. Ever since he's come back to NXT with this new attitude and really laying into the Prince stuff, he's been really freaking awesome, and it gets even better here with this title retention against Pete Dunne. This was a great match, and if this was their first time meeting each other in ring, I want to see it more often. I definitely want to see it more often, which we might get a chance to see. But following this matchup is where stuff got really interesting. This was where I was waiting to see what would happen. So Finn's hands are so messed up that the referee can't put the championship in his hands. Finn tells the referee to put the title around his waist. After the matchup, Finn goes up onto the rampway, and I'm waiting for Karrion Kross to come out and lay out Finn. And I see a bald guy running from the back, and I'm like, yep, here's Karrion Kross. And then I see a second person running. I'm like, yep, that's Scarlett. And then I'm looking like, it's another bald guy. I was like, wait, why is Scarlett bald? And then immediately I realized, oh, it's Danny Burch and Oney Lorcan. That makes sense. So Lorcan and Burch, they come down, they attack Finn. Pete Dunne joins in. Undisputed Era then run out and help them. I was thinking it was going to be MSK, but I guess since Undisputed Era kind of been feuding with Dunne and them and helping Finn, I guess that also makes sense. And then this is where things got very, very, very interesting. So Undisputed Era run off Pete Dunne, Oney Lorcan, and Danny Burch. And then the Undisputed Era are standing in the ring with Finn. Kyle O'Reilly's talking to Finn on the ground. Roderick Strong and Adam Cole are kind of off to the side talking amongst themselves. Kyle O'Reilly pulls Finn up. And then it looks like Finn is joining the Undisputed Era, which in the moment I'm like, yes, that's awesome. That's great. There's going to be some awesome interplay here. Adam Cole's going to feel like he's no longer the leader, so he's going to get mad at Kyle and Finn. And instead of getting like weeks or months of booking of that, the end credits come up, and I'm thinking it's going to be over, and then Adam Cole super kicks Finn, which confuses Kyle. Kind of confuses Roddy, too, and Roddy, Kyle, and Adam are, like, arguing in the corner, and then Adam super kicks Kyle O'Reilly, which Roderick Strong apparently didn't see coming either, because he was kind of shocked by it, too. And I was not expecting that. Like, I was expecting an Undisputed Era breakup at some point, but I wasn't expecting it to happen that quickly, like, with the whole thing of, like, Finn sort of joining the Undisputed Era there. This was just crazy. It kind of came out of nowhere, and it really bums me out that there wasn't, like, a giant crowd there to see this, because I feel like the pop and the boos for Adam Cole in this moment would have been insane. But just looking at the little bits that I did on Twitter, people are obviously ticked off at him for this. So, RIP Undisputed Era. Sorry if you're one of the people that just now bought Undisputed Era merch, because I guess it won't be worth much now. It was kind of like that DIY merch that they had for Worlds Collide before Gargano turned on Ciampa at TakeOver Portland. But yeah, Roderick Strong looked stunned, and the show went off air with Finn and Kyle O'Reilly laying in the ring as Roddy looked at them both confused, and Adam Cole walked up the rampway and left them. So, we're going to have some interesting stuff going on here with Undisputed Era here in a few weeks. I am very interested to see where all of this goes. And I'm interested to see where Bobby Fish plays into all this, because Bobby Fish was not there tonight. He's still rehabbing an injury, so I'm interested to see what happens with him when he eventually comes back to NXT. But overall, this was an awesome show, awesome main event, awesome matches all around. Thumbs up show all around. Now, right now, I'm going to get into some other quick NXT news. Coming up on this week's NXT, obviously we're going to have the fallout of TakeOver, but we also have Karrion Kross versus Santos Escobar. That's going to be very great. And then after that, I guess we'll see where Karrion Kross's next feud is, because I would assume that he's going after the NXT title. But now it seems like the NXT title is kind of involved with the whole Undisputed Era breakup scene, so we'll have to see where that goes. Also, I would like to take this time to wish best wishes to the newest members of the main roster, Rhea Ripley and Damian Priest. They have now been moved to either Raw or SmackDown. It seems like Priest is staying on Raw as he's getting into a feud with Miz and Morrison alongside Bad Bunny, so it's going to be interesting to see where that leads. And then Rhea Ripley, as of right now, has not been on either Raw or SmackDown since. But good God, I have my fingers crossed so hard for both of them, because they are so awesome. I would hate... I don't trust main roster with NXT call-ups anymore. I do not. And seeing two awesome people like Damian Priest and Rhea Ripley go to Raw and SmackDown, it just worries me so much. Because I'm like, there was so much more cool stuff you could have done in NXT. Like, why did you have to go? So, I don't know. All I can say is I wish them the best of luck. I hope Rhea Ripley wins one of the women's championships, preferably the Raw Women's Championship, and just dominates. I hope she gets into a match with Charlotte Flair and defeats Charlotte Flair in like a matter of seconds. I want something like that to happen so badly. So yeah, best of luck to them. In other news, we have some more NXT signings. We had Eli Drake sign here tonight, but a few weeks ago we had Priscilla Kelly, Alanya Black, and Lacey Ryan all signed to NXT in developmental deals, so they're all on the NXT roster now. I think Priscilla Kelly's name is like Gigi Doan, something like that. I haven't checked up on her match like in the women's Dusty Classic. I didn't check out that match. It was on 205 Live, and I've been kind of busy with a lot of other stuff, so I didn't get a chance to watch it. But I think her name is Gigi Doan. I was about to say Alanya Black's name is like Cara Dune, but that's the chick from Star Wars or like The Mandalorian that just got fired. But yeah, more women's competitors coming to NXT. I'll be honest, these were kind of some names that I was hoping to one day see signed to AEW, but to be fair, and I'm a big fan of AEW, I'm a big fan of NXT. NXT, AEW, and Impact Wrestling are the three main wrestling shows that I watch. I do not watch Raw or SmackDown anymore. I just think they're boring, really crap, and I'm sure a lot of people would agree with that. So I just watch NXT, AEW, and Impact Wrestling. And if you've seen the way that they kind of booked the women's division on AEW over the past, year, maybe year and a half, I honestly do not blame them for not wanting to go there, but there is still that part of me that wishes, man, I really wish they would have gone to AEW instead. But, to each is their own. If they wanted to go to NXT, I wish them nothing but the best in NXT, and even more, nothing but the best on Raw or SmackDown when they eventually go there. But another woman that potentially might be signing with either WWE or to the NXT brand is Taya Valkyrie, another Impact star, or former Impact star, going to WWE. So the Rascals left Impact, and then shortly afterwards, Taya Valkyrie was arrested on Impact Wrestling and written off of Impact TV. And now there are rumblings that she could be going to WWE or NXT, which would make sense. Her husband, John Morrison, is there, so it would make sense that they go and be in the same company together. Will she show up on NXT? I would go with no. Honestly, I feel like there are way too many. I could be wrong here. I feel like there are way too many women that are doing stuff right now. Like, you have The Way, you have Io and Tony and Mercedes, you have Xia Li with her awesome stuff going on. I feel like there are way too many women in NXT right now to introduce another one. Even after all the signings with Priscilla Kelly and Alanya Black and Lacey Ryan, having Taya Valkyrie in NXT kind of would be way too much star power. I do feel like she should go to Raw or SmackDown. I would assume Raw, because they like to keep the couples together. So John Morrison's on Raw. I would think they would keep Taya Valkyrie with him on Raw. But I don't know. If she goes to NXT, that'd be great too. I would just think that that's a little bit too much star power for the women's division. But yeah, if Taya Valkyrie comes to NXT or WWE main roster, like I've said many times in this, I wish her nothing but the best of luck. I'm sure she will do great. I'm sure she will shine bright, even if they don't give her an opportunity to. And the last piece of news here we're going to talk about is the signing of Eli Drake here tonight and his debut. And the reason why I say Eli Drake is because I dread saying his new name. His new name is L.A. Knight. L.A., like Los Angeles, Knight, spelt with a K. L.A. Knight. I get why they gave the new name, but I just don't like it. I don't like it. It seems stupid. I like Eli Drake. He still does like the whole like pointing at the air like Eli Drake, but instead it's L.A. Knight, or kind of similar to like EC3, you know, stuff like that. And he's great on the mic. Like, he showed up on the pre-show, like, bad-mouthing Wade Barrett and whoever the other two were. I can't remember. Pete Rosenberg, maybe was one of them. I don't know. I can't remember. But, yeah, he's in NXT now as L.A. Knight. Not a fan of the name, but I'm sure I'll get used to it just the same way I got used to Drake Maverick, and I'm sure I'll get used to Priscilla Kelly and Alanya Black and Lacey Ryan's new names. Yeah, a lot of new talent signed to NXT recently, especially with the Rascals, and if Taya Valkyrie comes to NXT, that's great. And then you got Sakamura in NXT UK, that's great. So a lot of awesome talent coming to NXT recently, and it's just going to make the brand that much better. Like I said, it is one of my favorite favorite wrestling shows of the week. I watch it every week, not live. I watch it. I watch AEW live, and then I watch NXT first thing in the morning, so I get to watch some good wrestling before I go to sleep at night, and then I get to watch some good wrestling when I wake up in the morning and have my breakfast. So, yeah, I'm living my best life on Wednesday nights and Thursday mornings, so yeah, NXT still being awesome. St. Valentine's Day. It happened on Valentine's Day. It was called Takeover Vengeance Day. Vengeance Day was an awesome pay-per-view. Let me know what you guys think in the comment section below about the pay-per-view, what happened with Undisputed Era, and all of this big news regarding NXT. Let me know all of your thoughts in the comment section down below, and I will see you guys next time.